So let's look at some of the theory of DHCP. DHCP uses a client-server model where the DHCP server or router is providing IP addresses to a client, such as a PC, IP phone, iPad, or some other kind of user device. So the user device, such as a laptop, will boot up without an IP version 4 address, and then will request an IP address from a DHCP server. This takes place in both IP version 4 and IP version 6, but we'll discuss IP version 6 in a separate video. This video concentrates mainly on IP version 4 DHCP mechanisms. So when the PC or laptop or phone boots up and requests an IP address from a DHCP server, the server will then offer an IP address to the client. So when the PC or laptop or phone boots up, it will send out a broadcast trying to discover a DHCP server. A DHCP server will then offer an IP address to the client, which the client can then request. We'll look at the exact process in a moment, but essentially the client sends out a broadcast looking for DHCP servers. One or more DHCP servers will then offer an IP address to the client, and the client will then request an IP address from one of the DHCP servers, typically from the server that answered first. The DHCP server then sends an acknowledgement of that request. So the IP address and other parameters are allocated to the client typically for a limited period of time. But it's important to note that they don't have to be. You could configure a DHCP server to permanently allocate an IP address to a specific device. So rather than statically configuring an IP address on a PC, you could configure an IP address in a DHCP server, but ensure that that PC always gets the same IP address via DHCP. In most implementations in the real world, however, IP addresses are only allocated to clients for a limited amount of time. This allows you to reuse IP addresses. So in a subnet where users are coming and going, you may have a limited number of addresses in your pool, and hence the addresses can be reused by users over a period of time. As an example, in Starbucks, people are coming and going all the time, so you may only have a limited number of addresses that you want to reuse over and over and over. So you may only allocate an IP address for a short amount of time, such as an hour, and that means that a user who comes in, has their coffee, and leaves will not keep that IP address, but it could be reused by someone else. A client is the device that is requiring initialization parameters from a DHCP server, such as an IP address, default gateway, and DNS server. In IP version 4, a PC or phone cannot communicate with other devices until it has an IP address. So in other words, you can't surf the internet or watch a YouTube video until your PC has been allocated an IP address. So parameters such as your default gateway to get to the internet and a DNS server to resolve names such as youtube.com to an IP address have to be allocated to a client. So your client will request that information from the DHCP server. Now there are 3 DHCP mechanisms, and this often causes confusion because the names are counterintuitive.